Okay, so you're going to start out by downloading the SVG file for the haunted house. You will follow the link. When you open it up, you're going to see the house. I'm using Google Chrome, so this is how it's going to appear for me. All I'm going to do is click up here in this upper right hand corner and download the actual file. It's going to ask me where I want to save it. Sorry, I don't use my Mac for much other than editing videos, so I gotta figure out where I want to put this thing. Alright, so we're going to save the file. Okay, so it's showing up down there that it's saved. And then we're going to go to Design Space and we're going to import the file. This file will work with Silhouette and with Brother Scan and Cut. I work almost exclusively with Cricut, so I'm going to show you how to do this in Design Space. You're going to click on Upload on the lower left-hand corner. You can see I've already got it out here once, but we'll upload it again just so you see the process. I'm going to click Browse. You're going to find where you saved that file. I gotta figure out where I put it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, Haunted House Scrapping Under the Influence. Click OK. And then here it comes in with what the name of the file is, which is Haunted House Scrapping Under the Influence. In Cricut, you can tag your things that you upload so that you can find them a little more easily. I do that when I upload things from SVG Cuts, Dreaming Tree, Lori Whitlock, whatever. It just makes it a little bit easier to find, but I'm not going to add a tag on this one because I know where it is. So once you've done that, named it, tagged it, whatever you want to do here, you're going to go ahead and click Save. Then you're going to click and it will be show up with the green box around it. It will also show up down on the bottom, and then click Insert. Okay, so here is our image. The first thing in Design Space you're going to want to do, just because this is going to make it a little bit easier for you to cut, is ungroup the image. So you're just going to select that, go up there, click Ungroup, and then that's going to separate every element of that image out. You've got two shadow layers there. Whoops. One with this kind of brown and one that's this kind of gray. The brown one you're going to cut 2 times out of chipboard. So all I'm going to do is just duplicate that layer 1 time. The gray one you're going to cut 4 times, either out of your solid cardstock. If you want to use patterns, you can do that. But you need 4 of those to cover your chipboard pieces. So I've duplicated the brown, so it's going to cut that 2 times. And then I'm going to duplicate the gray layer 3 times. So we've got 4 total there that it's going to cut. The Cricut will sort everything into mats based on the color of the layer, so you don't have to worry about it grouping stuff together where you don't want it. So like all the window frames and the doors will cut together, the roof and the shutters will cut together, those little green accent pieces on the roof and on the chimney will cut together, and the vellum, well, the orange behind the windows will also cut together. And apparently I didn't make an orange piece for behind the door, but that's okay. You can cut something, just a little square by hand, and mount it behind there, and that will be fine. Okay, we're going to click Make It, and this is where you're going to see where it's going to sort all of those pieces and parts to the different mats based on the color. You can change the color if that helps you when cutting. Back on the other screen, I've colored them the way that I was actually going to cut them for the most part, so that's why they're cut the way they are. Okay, that's your base to build your house on that's going to be separate from, and that's the shadow layer. And then there are all the little pieces and parts in their various mats and colors and so on and so forth. Okay, at this point you would click continue and then pick your machine and then set your material to whichever kind of cardstock, or if you're using, if you're ready to cut the chipboard layer, whichever part of it that you're cutting right now. All right, so we have cut everything for our house. Okay, so this piece is the base of the house, all of its little decorations. The wider piece is going to be the shadow layer, which is what the chipboard should also be cut out of. And then you should have 4 pieces of cardstock if you want to do all solid, if you want to do patterned like I'm doing. However you want to do it, that's how you're going to cover that chipboard. So one of the things when you do this kind of album that you need to be aware of, you're going to have a raw edge here, okay? What you can do about that, you can ink the edge of your chipboard if you want to. You can paint the edge of your chipboard. You can leave it as is and then go around the outside of this with some baker's twine and wrap it that way. I have done that in the past and I don't have one handy right now. Actually, yes, I do. One second. Okay, so like this shaped one, I went around that raw chipboard edge with baker's twine. This is chunky twine that I had in my stash. I've done it with thinner baker's twine, but that is, I think, a better, that's how I usually prefer to finish out that raw edge on there. We're going to set all of this part of it aside because if you happen to be one of the people that doesn't have an electronic die cut machine that is doing this by hand, you don't have this wider shadow layer. It was just slightly too big that I couldn't scan it onto 8.5 by 11 paper to be able to get at least as far as I figured out. I may have figured something out by the time I actually get this uploaded tomorrow. But at the moment, you don't have this. When it comes to actually building the base of the book, which is the last thing we're going to work on, I have an alternative for you and for anybody else that is doing this that maybe doesn't want to mess with this whole, trying to cut this whole thing out of chipboard and then, I have 2 methods for you to actually do your spine and everything on this book. So we'll come back to that part of it. For right now, we're just going to work on assembling our SVG file. So what I have done is I have actually gone in and inked the edges of this, which is something when I'm working with SVG files where I am using primarily just solid cardstock, I do tend to go through and ink that because it does give it a little bit more depth and makes it look a little more finished. For part of this, I did cut some of the patterned paper for a couple of the layers on here. I do have this backed with foam tape already, ready to go. That's the little piece that goes over the top of the door. That's the little piece on our chimney, which should have had a foam dot on it, and it doesn't. And then our windows, which I backed the windows with vellum. It's entirely up to you how you want to do that. And then all of our little shutter pieces. When I inked this on these little shutters, what I did, so that you kind of see a little bit more of the detail where this is kind of, the little slats are cut into this. What I did, so I went around, I inked my edges of this, and then I just kind of bent it because it will bend really easily because of those slats. And then just kind of randomly inked the slats because then you see them a lot more clearly. Okay, so that's all you need to do on that. And I have lost somewhere the rest of my tape. Oh no, this one was not the one that was weird sized. Okay. Okay. And then I am just putting my foam tape on the back of that. You could do it absolutely flat. It's up to you. I've been doing, not of my own design. I'm nowhere near that level. But I have been doing different like 3D things with SVG files for years now, and there's just little tips and tricks you pick up the longer you do that. Okay, so we're going to glue down our roof first. And you don't need to get too crazy. This should lay fairly flat and shouldn't lift on you. And that's going to line up on there like so. I'm going to take my little chimney piece, which I think actually was supposed to go on first, so don't be like me and do this wrong. Yeah. Which no, actually it's okay because we can just kind of tuck that in there. And then our little roof part, I'm actually going to stick some foam dots on. All right, we're going to line him up. Okay, let's get our, that's this bottom piece here, and you should be able to line these up just based on the angles on the ends there. And when you're lining something up like this on an SVG file, if you have not done this before, I usually will start at one end, get that end lined up exactly where it needs to be, and then put my piece down. That way they get lined up the way they need to be. Okay, so for the windows, because I did back these with vellum, of course we can't glue in any one of those corners or those squares because you'll see it through the vellum. So I'm going to very carefully outline the edges of my window, and then I am going to put that down. Okay, then I'm going to find a couple of shutters that look good with it, and we're going to kind of put those on here, not quite straight because it's a haunted house. They don't have to be on here perfectly. We're going to do this with another piece here. And what's fun with this is when you're doing something like this, and you're doing this on the front of the book, of course I've got glue everywhere it's not supposed to be, you can kind of play with this and decorate this however you want to. You might want to do, you might want to emboss this. You could do some different inking on here to kind of make it look like, there's wooden slats or something, or, wood siding or something like that. I know I've got an embossing folder somewhere that's very similar that does that. I couldn't tell you where it is to save my life, so that's why mine is not embossed. And that's okay. You do what you want to do. If you had like one of the authentic, oh my gosh, I can't even think what they're called now. They've got some papers that have like some background dots. I don't know how else to explain them. Like they're tone on tone kind of. They're really, really pretty. Something like that would be great for the base of this, for the roof even. I'm using, just gray artisan cardstock, which cuts beautifully in the Cricut. I was happy to find out. I think I've only used it in the Cricut maybe once or twice. I usually use American Crafts, and quite honestly, it's just gotten awful as far as the quality of the cardstock itself and the way it cuts in the Cricut, and it's kind of disappointing. Before I get this other one on here, I need to line that up where I need it so that I don't get that last little shutter too close. There we go. Okay, so because I forgot to put that piece in there, we're just going to cut just a little corner. Oh my gosh, it's late. Can you tell? We've been working on getting our basement finished in our house, and like literally they were laying carpet until 8:30 Friday night, and we've been running all day today, and my husband at like 8:30 was like, yeah, I'm done. We're done. I'm going to bed. So I was like, oh good. I have some peace and quiet finally that I can come down here and record this thing that I've had cut out for like a week straight now. Okay, so there's our door. And then we've got this little piece that sits kind of on top of the door. Like so. So there is the front piece of our house. That's going to sit down on this little shadow layer like so. The purple is my colors cardstock. I will list in my tutorial description which colors I actually matched to this paper line of the My Colors, so that you have that in case you want to, you know, mix some solids in with all the fun patterns on the inside of the book. So we're going to set this aside for now, and we're going to start on building our pages. Okay. So our page bases, and because of the ongoing construction, I have not had a whole lot of quiet time downstairs. So I was at a retreat or a crop here last weekend and actually designed and cut everything for this book at the retreat and put it all in bags so that I knew what was what. So if I seem a little slow giving measurements and stuff, this is why. It's because I cut this a week ago and now I'm trying to figure out what I did. Okay, so your page bases, you're going to have 4 pages total. Your pages, if I can get my silly ruler here, finished size of the pages is going to be 8 1/4 by 6 1/4. So we're going to have 4 pieces that are 6 1/4 by 8 1/4. And you're going to have 4 pieces that are going to be 6 3/4 by 8 3/4. On the bigger one, you're going to score a 1/2 inch on the long side and 1/2 inch on the short side. Okay, I do have these taped up ready to go. So we're going to assemble one of these now and then start working on, maybe we'll do all 4 of them anyway. Okay, so you're going to come in here, you're going to miter your corners like so. You're going to fold and burnish and fold and burnish. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're actually going to attach just on the side. We're not going to pull the adhesive or the backing off of the adhesive on the bottom. We're going to attach just on the side because that's going to make it easier when we go to put these on the spine in the book, if we don't have this bottom attached yet, because then it's going to basically kind of leave us with a flap for the time being. So to do that, I tend to lay this somewhat flat here for a second. I'm going to pull up part of my adhesive, bend it back. Backing for my adhesive, not the adhesive itself, the backing for the adhesive. If you watch any of my tutorials, you know by now I just have this like mental block about that and I don't know why. Anyway, okay, so I'm going to fold this bottom part in, fold that down, and then we're going to line this up. We're going to make sure everything Lines up where it needs to go. Top and bottom, side to side. Okay, I'm going to push that down and then just pull that out and press it down. There's our first page. Okay, so we're going to do this 4 more times because I know this is so exciting to watch, but okay. Fold and burnish. Fold and burnish. We're going to start our and if this panel that you're putting on the back of your page base seems a little bit big, just trim off, you know, like a 1/16 of an inch, if that. It's probably not even going to be that much, because that does happen occasionally that we have to do that. Okay, one more. And our last page. Although I will say the benefit to me working on this at a crop was I've got the mats cut and everything for this. So we will be matting the pages as we build them. I do that sometimes. I know a lot of people like build and mat and completely decorate their pages and everything before they ever put them in a book. I don't usually do it that way, but sometimes it just makes sense to do it that way. So that's what we're going to do this time. No, we're not going to decorate. We're just going to mat. But okay, so here's our 4-page bases. We will be doing inserts that are going to go top loading. We'll do those in a bit. I'm going to kind of set those to the side for a second. Okay, so front of page 1. I gotta look at my notes here as we do this. Okay, so the front of page 1 is going to have several flaps that are all going to open in succession. Okay, so what we've got is a whole bunch of wood papers here and some mats. I'll set those off to the side for right now. Okay, so we're going to have a page base. On this page base, let me figure out how this is supposed to go. Basically, when it's all said and done, it's going to fold out like this. So you're going to have basically 4 5x7s front and back. Okay? So we need 2 pieces. Move our page base out of the way. 2 pieces that are 6 1/4 by 8 3/4. You're going to score that 1/2 inch on the 8 3/4 side. Okay, so we've got 2 of those. And then we've got 1 piece that is 6 3/4 by 8 1/4. You're going to score that at 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. So I think the best way to do this is going to be, I think we're going to do it just like that. Okay, so I'm going to turn that upside down for right now. we're going to get that out of the way here. And we're going to line this up down here at the bottom. And I meant to bend this out the other direction. There we go. Okay. So that page is going to somewhere I've done something wrong. No, I haven't. Okay. So this one is going to come in this way. Burnish that down. Okay. So this one, or did I mean to go this? And here is the problem with doing this ahead of time. Okay. No, that needs to go back the other way. Okay. We're going to bend that the other direction. Sorry about that. Okay. So this one, I'm going to bend this way. Okay, yeah, I'm doing it right. All right. We're not crazy. All right, so we've got that one is going on here. Bottom edge to edge. That's what it was. Okay, so then it comes down this way, and then it's going to go up that way. So, all right, that's what I was doing wrong. I had that one backwards. So really this, I guess it doesn't matter which side that's on because it's going to get matted over. So, in and up and out. Okay, so for this one, actually, I am going to trim just a tiny, tiny bit off the edge of this one, just so that it isn't going to get in the way. Okay, just a hair off of there. Okay, so then this one, we want it to go that way. So normally I don't have this much lag in between when I might, come down here and cut something and design it and all of that and actually filming it. Usually it's all done in the same day. Like I'll sketch it out ahead of time, I come down, I cut, I record, and then I move on to the next project, but that has just not been the case this week. All right, so we've got that one down. So I'm going to fold that one in. Burnish it down, and it's going to come in this way, and then it's going to come up that way. All right, so this is the front of the page, and then it's kind of over and then up. Okay, what we're going to do to make sure this stays closed is we're going to put a magnet down here. We are going to use the big magnets to make sure it goes all the way through our paper. What did I just do? Grab two of the wrong kind. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to put the magnet in the middle so that it goes under one of the photo mats, as opposed to off to the side where it's going under that little decorative strip that's going to the side of the photo mat, because then we're going to have a harder time covering up our magnet. Okay, so you're going to put the magnet in the bottom of this page so that when this is all folded up on top, that magnet's going to be in the middle. So we're going to fold that in half, push that magnet down. Okay, and then this is going to close up just like so. Okay, so to mat this, what I have done is I have 5x7 mats. We're just going to randomly kind of scatter these out here. And I think I want them to kind of go out to those outside edges. And there's a green one. And like I said, this is all My Colors cardstock that does match the colors that are in the Say Cheese Halloween paper line. What we're then matting around the edges is I have just some little border strips. Okay, so these are going to be, 1 second, 1 inch by 7 inches, and then 1 inch by 6 1/8. So 1 inch high by 6 1/8. Okay. Let's see here, what all have I got? Let's put him up there. I'm not even sure what I cut. Oh no, they are all the same. Okay, that's what I thought. Wasn't sure. Okay. So let's do it this way. There we go. Okay. And then for the other, I've got my little Day of the Dead skulls. Let's do that. And I've got my little eyeballs. Okay. So let's go ahead and I think I want my other blue. I have no idea where my pen went for it. So, all right, so page 1 is done. And that just opens up like so. All right, so we're going to flip this over. The back side of page 1, we've got a couple of flaps and a couple of pockets and some tuck spaces. And now I got to figure out exactly from my sketch what it is we are trying to do here. So anyway, we've got a flap on this side. We've got a tuck spot back here, and then we've got a pocket with a flap closure, on the front. So let's start with our tuck spot here. What on earth have I done? Did I not mat this? I must not have. Okay, I don't know why that's clipped there, but okay, so our tuck spot is going to be 9 1/4 by 1 1/2. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on each end. So we're just going to fold that over. And I actually need some score tape on the back of this. So because this is just a tuck spot, we are going to run our score tape on the back side here. So we're going to put that down, put that one over, do the same thing there. And we are going to pull that off, get our backing off here. And we're going to put this down on the edge of that back side of that page. Okay. The matting for this one is going to be 8 inches by 1 3/8. Okay. We're going to have to come back and mat this other part of this later, and that's fine. All right, so on the other side here, we've got a flap. So our flap is going to be 6 3/4 by 8 1/4. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. Go ahead and bend that over. and press it down. And then I'm going to turn this sideways so that I can tell if I'm getting this matted, I'm sorry, not matted, attached on here in the right place. Which, again, this is why we don't attach the bottom part of this yet, because then I can flip it out like that and lay it down, making sure that I'm lining this up where I want it. Okay, so flap's going to come out that way, and I believe this is where our photo mat was supposed to come in, and that's probably, I bet what that maybe was on there for, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Alright, so on the front of this one, we do have, oh no, this was what I did for the photo mat on this one. So the photo mat on this one, I actually did 2 4x6 photo mats on here. So that's what it was. Okay. All right, so on this front piece, what we're going to do is we have a pocket. So for our pocket, the base of the pocket is going to be 7 1/4 by 5 inches. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on each side on the 7 1/4 side, and then 1/2 inch on one side on the 5 inch side. We're going to miter our corners. Like always. Okay. And we're going to bend that up. I'm going to lift that up ever so slightly. Get that part in there. Again, just a little bit. Bend this up. Burnish it down. And there we go. There's our pocket. Okay. Before I get too far in that, I'm going to find my eraser here. And I'm going to erase my pencil marks because we don't want any of that inadvertently, depending on how we've matted parts of this. We don't want any of that on here. Okay. Alright, so this is going to go on here like so. And again, this is where it's helpful to have that where we can fold that out still. Okay. That's being matted right there. The mat for this is going to be, where'd it go? There it was. This mat is going to be 6 1/8 by 4 3/8. I want to try something here because where we've got that magnet back here, it's going to work. Okay, this is one way that we can kind of conserve on our magnets so that you're not using quite as many, is to kind of, when you've got them on both sides of a page like this, place them in such a way that they're all connecting to each other. Okay, so instead of using 2 more magnets on this side, we're using 3 magnets total on the entire page because it's going to connect on through. Okay, so for our top flap for our pocket here, it's going to be 6 1/4 by 5 1/4. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 5 1/4 side. I have just got like photo mat stuff going everywhere here. What on earth was I doing? I have no clue. Okay. So we're going to burnish that down. I'm going to turn the book this way. I'm going to open that page up, which of course is going to make the magnet fall off, which is fine. Line this up at the top. Stick that down, fold it back down in here, put our magnet down, get the backing off of that, and then we're going to adjust, and there we go. Alright, so I think what I have done here, that's exactly what I did. So, or that's what I did. No, that's what I did. Okay, so on the inside of the pocket, the mat for the top, for the inside of the flap is going to be 6 1/8 by 4 5/8. Go ahead and glue that one down. I cannot win. I'm going to have to go wash out my tip for my other glue. There it goes. Okay. Make sure that's good and pushed down over that magnet. The matting for the top piece above the pocket here is going to be 6 1/8 again by 3 5/8. Ooh, do we want spiders or do we want polka dots? I think we want polka dots. Okay, fold that over and close that down. And I think that's what I did. That makes sense. I can see. Oh my gosh, this is just not going to be my night. Okay, so top matting, we've got 6 1/8 by 4 5/8 again. And we're actually going to top that with one of the cut-aparts, 4 by 6 cut-aparts. Because I absolutely love this cut-apart. It's probably my favorite one out there of the cut-aparts. So we're going to mat that down on top of there. Okay. We're just going to center that up on there. Okay. I'm going to come back in here. So maybe I was doing it like that. That's exactly what I was doing. Okay, I'm not crazy. So again, this is another 5 by 7 photo mat. supplemented with a 5 by 1 1/8 piece of the patterned. All right, that's what I did. I do remember this now. Some of this is coming back to me. It was very late Saturday or Friday night when I did this. I really should have just gone to bed. Okay, so there's our first 2 sections of our book. Okay, so we're going to move on to the front of page 2. It looks like we've got a couple more flaps and a pocket. So let's see here. Pin in the glue. That will help. Okay. So I've got, oh, okay, that's what I did. Okay, I see what I did here. Okay, so I've got 2 flaps. Both of them are 6 3/4 by 8 1/4. Scored at 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. So what I've done here is I've got one that's going to open up that way, and then one on top that's going to open up the other direction. So let's start with our bottom flap. Okay, line that up, pull out that score tape. I'm going to go to our other side. We're going to burnish that down and do the same thing again. I'm not sure if this one has a magnet or not, so it's going to go that way or it's going to go this other way. So I should not have pulled that entire backing off, but that's okay. Okay, so, and I just did this on the back side. That's okay. We can work with that. It should have been on this side. It's actually now going to be the back of page 2. That's okay. We can go with this. It's all right. So what I have done is, I think on this piece here, we have a belly band with a folio. Okay, so our belly band is going to be 9 1/4 by 2 inches. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on each end. Okay, we're going to put that, actually, I'm going to move this. I'm going to put that on the base itself. So let's find approximately the center here. Okay. The folio that goes inside of it is going to be 8 inches by 12 inches. I do remember that much because there's a couple of them in here like this. So that's going to slide in here like that. I don't have matting on the folio yet, and that's fine. We're going to go ahead and mat our belly band, which is going to be this lovely little spiders. That's our pocket. Oh no, I do have matting for the, maybe? No. I don't know what I'm doing here. Pocket. Oh, maybe it is for the, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Okay, so to mat the belly band, it's going to be 1 7/8 by 7 1/8. Okay, so the pocket, I think we're going to put, we're going to put that on the front here. So the pocket is just basic pocket, 7 1/4 by 3 3/4. You're going to score 1/2 inch on the 7 1/4 side and once at 1/2 inch on the 3 3/4 side. As always, we're going to miter those corners. Burnish it down, just a tiny bit of that edge, flip that one over, burnish it down, same thing on the other side. Okay. Okay. All right. So this one we're going to mat with our mat is 3 inches by 6 1/8. Okay, and then the mat up above is going to be 6 1/8 by 4 7/8. Okay. All right, so I think what I did here is I think I just did my inside here. And I probably measured wrong or counted wrong when I was doing this. I probably have extra ones again, and I think that's what's throwing me off. Okay, so that's not right. There we go. All right, so we're going to do 4 by 6 mats on this again. Pretty sure that's what they are. Yeah, 4 by 6. Yeah, I want the words. The words are way cuter. Okay. And of course, when we go back to decorate, we'll dress this up a little bit, like always. Okay, so this must go on the inside here, or I can use the polka dots. No, I think I'm going to do that one again. And again, I have extra photo mats, which is fine. Okay, so we'll come back. We'll need to come back and mat, of course, our folio and our behind our belly band, which is fine. as you can tell, this is going to have lots and lots of space for pictures and journaling and all of that kind of fun stuff. So and I didn't erase, and I'm going to be able to see part of that, so let's get that fixed. Okay. All right, so that one is done. Okay. So that should have been the front of page 2. It's now the back of page 2, and that's fine. Okay, so this next side, oh, this is why. Okay. So this is going to be a little bit different. So what we have is a flap that's going to open up. Okay. So let's work on our flap really quickly. It's going to be 6 1/4 by 8 3/4. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 8 3/4 side. Go ahead and attach that. Okay, so that's going to come up that way. And apparently I think this might actually be the matting that goes. I bet I got them in the wrong pockets. Because I bet maybe. I think that's what that is. Okay, there's our mat. So I don't have matting for the front of this other page. This would explain why I had so much paper left that I didn't realize I had left. I didn't think I would have left. Because I was functioning on about 3 hours sleep when I did this last Friday. And that's not good. All right. Anyway, back to this side. Oh my god, this is going to be my worst tutorial ever, I can just tell. All right, so we have our flap. Flap's going to open up this way. Let's put that folio back in there. There we go. Okay, flap's going to open up that way. What I then have is a very different kind of 2 little triangle pockets that are going to fold out. Okay, so to do this, we have one piece that is 6 inches by 5 inches. I've scored this at 1/2 inch on each side. What we're going to do is we're going to sit this in our paper trimmer, and you can't see that, but let me do this so we can see. Okay, so there's our score mark there. There's our score mark there. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm lining up where this is going to cut. Okay. So I'm lining at the top corner and the bottom corner as far as where this is going to cut. And I'm cutting at the edge of that score line. I'm not cutting past the score line. Okay. See, there's the score line. Here's where it's going to cut. Okay. All right. So there's our 2 pockets, our base for the 2 pockets. Okay. The other piece to accomplish this is going to be a 6 by 6. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on all 4 sides. So again, I'm going to mark where our score lines are. So that that you can see them. And we're going to do the same thing again, only this time we're lining it up where those score lines intersect. Okay? And you're going to cut it at a diagonal. Okay? So now here's the top part for our pockets. So what we're going to do is find our 3/8 score tape. And we're going to put our score tape on all of our pieces here. Apparently I don't have my, no, there it is. Okay. A little cricket thingy. Okay, so I want to make sure I'm putting score tape on the right side. So I would suggest laying it out like so. Doing score tape. Score tape. Okay. And you're going to do the same thing on the ends of these. So this is the flap that's actually going to attach to the page. Okay. So with one of these, what we're going to do is we're going to miter this bottom corner just like we always do. Okay. We're going to fold these over, and we're going to have to trim one more time. So as you fold this over, you're going to see you're going to end up with this piece sticking out right here. What you're going to do is put your scissors against the edge of this piece and cut that off. You're going to do that top and bottom. Okay? So then this, assuming my measurements are all correct, which it looks like they are, will sit perfectly down on top of that little triangle, making this a little triangle pocket that we're going to stick a tag in. Not that I remembered to cut my tags, but you know. Okay. So we're just going to line this up. And there's your pocket. If it's slightly off, just because of how, which in my case is because of how I laid it down, it shouldn't be off. This is all me. And then we're going to do the same thing again after we fold it over the flap that attaches to the book, which really you can leave this one. You don't need to trim it off up here because it's going to get covered with pattern paper when we mat it, and it will be fine. So we're going to do this again. I'm going to cut we're going to fold and burnish. And then we're going to trim that extra off. Ooh, I keep pinching myself with those scissors. Okay, and again. And then you're going to just place that down on there. Only this time we're going to do it in a way that makes a little bit more sense. We're going to line it up this way. There we go. That worked much better. All right. So, pull our page back in here. just going to line this up in the bottom corner of that page. Okay, so there it goes that way. Alright, it's going to go that way, and then this is going to come down here. What we're going to do, I'm going to try this, hopefully it's going to work the way I want it to. Ooh, no, not quite. Might not be strong enough for that. Oh, no, it is. Okay, we'll be fine. Yeah, okay. So we're going to put a magnet underneath the bottom part of this here. Okay, put it up just a tiny bit. Good Lord, this is not my night. Maybe that isn't going to hold. Okay, we got to rethink that a little bit. Okay, I'm going to move that off to the side since it's backing us off. We're going to pull this one up. Which fortunately at this point is easy to do. And okay, maybe if we do it on this one. There we go. Okay, that'll work. All right. And then those are just going to pop open as soon as you get in here. I'm going to burnish them down one more time, kind of try to work that crease a little bit better, but that's okay. It will be fine. Okay, so to mat this, all I did is I took a square that was 4 7/8 by 4 7/8 and just cut it on the diagonal to create my little, I was going to do that one, and then I think, yeah. Okay, and that's all there is to that. Okay. Okay, there's that. I'll mat the back sides here. These are both going to be the same. And we'll come back and mat the inside of this one because apparently, I bet that paper got shuffled back into my scraps. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, honestly. Okay, so we're going to go like that and like that, and there is our pages 2. Set that aside. We're going to grab another page base. Okay. Okay, page 3 has a stacked pocket on the base. Flaps. Okay. Okay, So we've got a stack pocket on the base. The back piece of the pocket is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4, scored at 1/2 inch on each end and 1/2 inch on the bottom. We're going to miter our corners like always. We're going to fold and burnish and fold and burnish and fold and burnish. Okay. This time I have our pocket facing the right, our page facing the right way. Oh my gosh. Okay. The piece that goes on top, the smaller pocket, is going to be 7 1/4 by 3 1/4. You're going to score again at 1/2 inch on each side and then 1/2 inch on the bottom. We're going to miter our corners and fold our pocket just like we always do. Okay. Okay. So we're going to mat this at, our top mat is going to be, and I just screwed that up because the flaps are not going to go on here right now. That was really dumb. Oh my god. Okay. Here's the undo. Of course it's 11 o'clock at night, that's why I'm loopy. Okay, so I have removed the pocket that I put on here too quickly. We are going to put on our flaps first. They do need to go down before the pocket. Pocket needs to sit on top of the tabs for the flaps. So, our larger flap is going to go on the right hand side. It is 8 1/4 by 6 3/4. You're going to score 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. What can I say? It's been a very long week. It's been a very trying week, and I'm tired, and it's very late. Okay. Okay, I guess that is supposed to be that long. I didn't think I did it that big, but apparently I did. Okay, our small flap is going to be 5 inches by 8 1/4. 8 1/4. Yes. Scored at 1/2 inch on the 5 inch side. Okay. Okay, so these are both going to fold in like that. The pocket sits underneath it. So now we're going to put our pocket back in here now that I have fixed my error. There have been my pockets on the wide side. Okay. Oh, that's not sitting right. I'm not sure what. It's fine. Okay. So there is actually supposed to be a magnet on here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm trying to remember what's on the other side. Okay, that's what I wanted. Just want it just like that. So let's get it positioned on this side. Take our backing off of that. Close it down to this side. And there we go. So it's going to open like so, and then you've got your nice little stacked pockets inside. So the matting on the pockets, now that the pockets are correct, it's going to be like this. So they're all going to be 6 1/8 wide. This one is 2 5/8. The center one is going to be 1 3/4. And this top one is going to be 3 3/8. Keep forgetting to put my pen back in my glue, which is probably part of my problem. Okay. So let's put these mats down really quick. All right. So that is all matted. We're going to mat our flaps. So this smaller flap is going to be 4 3/8 by 8 1/8. You're going to cut 2 mats that size, unless you want to mat it differently, of course. Go. Put that one in for just a second. We're going to do our polka dots on this other side. Okay. And on this side, it looks like, oh, that's right, that's what I did on this one. Okay, so the inside here, we're going to do another one of our photo mats, 5 by 7. I think I'm going to do it up in this corner over here. And then we've got spiders and polka dots. Or we can do polka dots and polka dots. Nah, actually, that's kind of okay. I don't mind it. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to close this like that. So that's how that one closes. This one, truly we could do it even that way. And that would actually work as well. This is the 2x2 cut apart sheet, which I absolutely adore. So that was why I cut this mat, this top mat, bigger than I think I originally intended, because it's just so stinking cute. I mean, come on. Yeah, something's like not quite right here. I'm not sure what I've done, but that's okay. Because it's handmade, it does not have to be perfect. Okay. All right. So that's the front of page 3. We're going to flip this over and we're going to do the back. So on this back side, I've got another pocket. Another big flap, and I'm not sure why. Oh, okay, that's what I did. Okay, so this one's going to go out this way. Okay, your pocket here, a long pocket inside. Oh, that's our flap on our pocket. Flap on our pocket, maybe? Okay, pocket. Oh, no, that's our flap. This is our pocket, our other pocket. Okay, that's what I did. All right. Not crazy. Okay, so we're going to start with our big flap. So again, 6 3/4 by 8 1/4. You're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 6 3/4 side. That's where we're going to flip that all the way open so I can see exactly where I'm lining this up at. Okay. And we've got a small flap that's going to close onto the top of this. And if I did this the way I hope I did this, I don't think I did. I think my magnet's too far over, darn it. It is. Okay, that's fine. That will be fine. All right, so this flap is going to be 3 1/4 by 8 1/4 with a 1/2 inch score on the 3 1/4 side. Okay, that's going to close in. Actually, I need to trim just a bit off of this one. So I know I said 6 3/4. Cut about a 1/16 of an inch off of that so that it's going to lay in here flat. Because otherwise it's not going to close quite right. And that's okay. Alright, so that's going to close that way. This one, I need to cut just a tiny bit off that mat as well. Okay, so there's that mat. I was thinking, okay, so this pocket, the base is going to be 7 inches by 5 1/2. Score it 1/2 inch on each side on the 7-inch side and 1/2 inch on one side of the 5.5 inch side. We're going to miter our corners, just like we've done with every other pocket in the book so far. Okay, so this is going to be just a tiny bit smaller than our actual flap itself, which, just to make sure this is good and flat as we put this down. There we go. Okay, so that means our flap that goes down on top of this, assuming I cut this right, which it does not look like I did. Oh no, it's because this one sits down this way, that's why. Okay, that's what I did. So this one is going to be 6 inches by 4 inches. And we are going to miter this. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to kind of get that crease, and we're going to miter this one in, because it's going to slip down in here to close off that pocket. Okay? And then it's got a piece that goes on here, like so, and then another piece that goes up above it. And I think that's how I did this. That's right. Okay, that's exactly what it was. Okay, so what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to put down this mat first. Okay, and then we're going to use where this mat ends up sitting as where we want the top of this flap to go. Okay. And this one does have a 1-inch score, and that was just because the bigger the amount past your score line here that you're actually sticking down to make the base of a flap, the more there is here, the flatter this will actually lay once it's down and done. So excuse my head here. All right. So then that mat is going to go on there, and somewhere, there it is. Say, so this mat was not quite 6 inches, 5 7/8 by 2 7/8, and this one is also, no, this one's 5 3/4 by 2 7/8. For some reason this one's smaller. I'm not sure why. It's fine. Okay. So that one's going to go on there. All right, so to mat the other part of the pocket, we're going to go like so. Except that one's too long, and I bet that's the one that's supposed to be up there. That's okay. We will trim it. Because it's just going to be one of those kind of nights. But we're in the home stretch, I promise. So, this one is 5 7/8 by 2 7/8. As it should be, but I don't want to put that down yet, or this one down yet, because I do need magnets. So what we are going to do is we need a magnet to close this, but we also need our magnet on this side to hold this shut. So we're going to put our magnet on this side off center. So what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that that one's in there to make sure we've got them all going the right. Okay, so that's how that one needs to go. Which actually means I need to turn that one over. There we go. All right, so yeah, that's exactly what I need to do. Close that. Actually, I'll slide this over just a touch. Okay. Okay. I should have done this bottom one first because this is going to make it really difficult to put this in here and get it in here right, but that's okay. We will figure out a way to do this. It's catching, so that's good. All right. So now we've got that. We can mat all. Okay. Oh, was that the other one I was going to do that way? Nope, we're going to do it that way. Okay, so there's that. That closes there. And again, I have completely missed. Did I not? I don't know what I've done here. Hold on. Am I missing a piece? I am. I didn't put my other pocket down. Okay. That's what's confusing me. Okay, so this is going on this side. Okay, so this is going to be 6 1/8 by 8 1/8. Since we're matting the entire page. Okay, so that one's going on the front there. Well, if I can get it on here and not have it be crooked, that would help, huh? Oh my gosh, seriously tonight, it's just not my night. Okay. All right. So then on the back side, that must be what I decided to do. I like better that way. Okay. So the flap, if I did not already say this, is 2 5/8 by 8 1/8. I of course split the back part of this up into 2 little pieces because I liked the look of it. But you of course can do this however you want to. Okay. Of course now it doesn't want to stay, does it? That means my magnets are slightly off, but it'll be okay. There we go. No, it's okay. All right, so then we have a long pocket that goes on the inside here. This is 5 1/4 by 8 3/4, scored 1/2 inch on each end of the 8 3/4 side and 1 plate on the 5 1/4 side. Okay. All right, so this one, you can put it going either direction. I think I'm going to have it face this way. And I just cannot measure, apparently. Okay, we're going to come back and mat that one later because I did something weird on the matting. And that's okay. All right, so there we go. So that section is done. Moving on to our last section. Okay, so for the front of page 4, we've got 2 flaps, and then we've got 2 large outside flaps, and we've got 4 small inside flaps. So we're going to start with our outside flaps. So these are 8 1/8 by 5 1/8. You're going to score them at 1 inch and then 1 1/8 of an inch. Okay, you're going to do, and we're going to put these down first. Open up my page base there. Okay, so I don't normally use that 1 inch adhesive because it's just, yeah, anyway. Okay, so we're going to line this up, the outside edge. And the same thing on the other side. And again, line it up with the outside edge. And I'm going to come back and do my other score line. All right. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. we're going to have 2 flaps that are 4 1/8 by 6 5/8, scored at 1/2 inch on the 6 5/8 side. And then you're going to have 2 that are 6 1/8 by 4 5/8, scored at 1/2 inch on the 4 5/8 side. So the 2 long ones are going to go top and bottom. The other 2 are going to go on the sides. So let's start on the bottom here. And we're going to just kind of line this up and press it down. Okay, and leave that folded in like that. Just going to turn it around so I can line that up so that it lays right on top of the bottom flap. Push that down. And our other 2 flaps are going to go out here on the side. And we're going to go just barely inside that inner score line. I'm just going to kind of eyeball where the center is. Push that one down. Turn it around. And do our other side. And again, we're going to lay this down, line it up. Okay, so those are all going to fold in. Our flaps are going to fold in. We're going to put a mat. And hopefully I didn't just lose some of my recording because my screen just like hiccuped. So that would be about right with the way this is going so far tonight. Okay. Alright, so, and we're going to put this down. About. And let's move this over just a touch, about right there. Top there, okay. And so to mat this, I have got 4x6 cut apart that's going to go up here. It actually needs just a tiny bit trimmed off of that edge. And it's not enough to put it in the paper trimmer. I just didn't trim that apparently as close to the line as I thought I did. Okay, here we go. So we've got one that goes there. Something is still not right on this. I'm not even sure what I've done here, but that's okay. We'll figure it out. Okay, so I think we're just going to do, I don't want to do that with those. I'm going to cut different mats for that. Okay, so anyway, we've got mats that come in like this. We're going to put these on the inside. And close those down like that. And again, I may very well have scored these wrong when I cut them. Or I'm sorry, cut these wrong when I did them, because I think 2 of them were supposed to be facing the other direction. But that's okay. we will do it like this and it will be just fine. So, and we're going to fight with the glue some more because, of course, we are. Oh my gosh, seriously tonight, this is just not my night for this. Okay, I'm going to put this one down here. There, it's going better. Okay. And I think inside I've just got plain old 4x6 photo mats that are going to go on here. And then I have another one of our mats like this. It's going to go in here like so. Okay. Make sure that's still going to fold down right. Alright, go up there with that one, and then we're going to go inside with our solid mats. Okay. And again on the other side. Okay. We still need a couple of pieces for that. We'll get that here in a little bit. And then it looks like, what did I do here? I don't know what that is. Okay. And it looks like I need to come back and do That's what I was doing. Okay. All right, so we're going to come back and finish matting this later. What I was going to do is on the closure here, I did have this little 3x4 cut apart that's supposed to kind of go about right here. So we'll come back and do that here in a little bit because somehow the rest of my matting for this page is not quite right, and that's okay. It can always be fixed. All right, so back side, did I just, oh my God, I did. Oh, I'm an idiot. Okay, it's okay. We can fix this. In fact, let me show you how to fix this. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do this with scissors so I don't screw it up worse. Because I did just totally do that upside down on my page base. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my scissors, I'm going to cut off along the score line. Okay, so there we go, that is off. What I'm going to do is take a scrap cardstock. I'm going to cut that to 1 inch by 6 1/4, and then I'm going to score it in half, and we will fix our upside down page. Okay, so we're going to turn this over, make sure we're going the right direction now. We are. We're going to open this up, burnish that down. We're going to put score tape on both sides here. Which at least we figured out one side was upside down before we did the other side, the other direction, and then had one page going one way and one going the other, because that would be pretty much, you got to tear it apart and start over, which is fine. It's happened. I've done it. I can't even tell you how many times. Okay, so we're going to line this up. At the bottom of the page here. It's actually sticking out just a tiny bit. And just trim that off. Alright, so now when we go to attach the page, we have fixed our problem. Alright, so right side up, turn it over. Which that actually, because we did that, that makes that the back of page 4, which is fine. For our last page is going to go like so. Alright, so we've got another belly band that's going to go down on our page base here. So this measures 7 1/4 by 3 inches. You're going to score 1/2 inch on each side on the 7 1/4 side. Okay. that, we're just going to center up here on the page. Actually, no, don't stick that down yet. We got to do our flaps first. There's the folio that goes underneath the belly band. And we've got just 2 cute little flaps here. This first flap, the larger flap, is 5 5/8 by 7 1/8. We're going to score it 1/2 inch on the 5 5/8 side. Okay, I'm going to put this down, center it up as best we can. Okay, the other side, we have another flap. This is going to be 4 1/8 by 4 5/8. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch on the 4 5/8 side. Okay, so we're just going to center this again. Okay, so we're going to mat the top of this with our cute little 4x4 castle cut apart. And then we're going to throw another magnet in here. Stick that in the middle, fold in, and put that down. Anyway, sorry, I was thinking it was like the magnets were fighting, but I think we're okay. Okay, on this side, we're just doing a, which one do we want to do, purple or orange? I think we're going to go with purple. Okay, and these are again just 5 by 7 photo mats. Okay, so on our interior, we've got our belly band that we're just going to center up here. That actually needs to be, yeah, it's too long. Okay, so this actually needs to go down about 1/8 of an inch. And what I'm going to attempt to do here, this ought to be fun, is I need to fix my score line on here. So what I'm going to do is get this where I've got little did you know when you started this album that this is going to be the one where I teach you how to fix all of the mistakes that I make. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. It just needed to come in and it would have been even better, but that's okay. All right, it's going to close, kind of. It's kind of, sort of. It's not real happy about it, but it's going to work because we're going to make it work. Actually, I gotta finesse this just a tiny bit more. It's not making me happy right now, so we're gonna go just a tiny bit more. For crying out loud, how did I just do this? Okay, so alright, so then let's do this. We're gonna cut off our tape here. And we're gonna fix this. Alright, so this is going to be 3 inches by, let's see what we're at here. Six and 5/8. So 3 inches by 6 and 5/8. Let me actually update my notes so that all right. So now we're going to try folding again on our new score line, which is a little bit better. Still not perfect, but it will have to do. We will make it work. I'm actually going to just put some glue on here because it ended up being a little bit smaller than I would have liked it to have been, but that's okay. So then I'm probably going to have to, yeah, we're going to cut a little bit off this folio. So this folio, instead of being 6 inches, we're going to make it it's going to be 8 inches by, I believe, 11.5 now. Yes, 11.5. Okay, so our folio that slides in here, 8 inches by 11.5. So then that will slide in just perfectly. Gonna mat it here. Trim a little bit off our mat. There we go. Okay. So our mat is going to be 2 7/8 by, well, I've got it at 6 inches and that'll be fine. Okay. The mat underneath, I'm also going to have to trim, but that's okay because it's at 6 1/8. We're going to make it 6. We're just going to slide that under there rather than trying to slide it under there when it's got glue on it, because that sometimes works and sometimes gets really screwed up. Alright, got that side. We're going to glue this side. Alright, we can mat that folio at a later time. Alright, there we go. That's much better. Alright, so we have all of our pages done. Okay, so we're going to build our hinge. So we want our hinge, because our pages are 8 1/4, we want our hinge to be 8 3/16. Okay. And since I'm not sure how long it needs to be just yet, we're just going to go ahead and score. So because these pages are a little bit heavier, we're going to do a little bit taller hinge. So we're going to go 5/8 and then go over 5/8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to do our gussets the same way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's count here. So we've got hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset. We need one more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it ended up being 6 1/4, 8 3/16 by 6 1/4. So, actually, no, not 6 1/4, 6 1/2, I'm sorry. So we still got to go 6 1/4. I'm sorry. 8 1/4, 8 3/16 by 6 7/8. As if that's not confusing enough, because of course it is. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with my 1/2 inch score tape. I'm going to put this on here, so I'm going to put it on. Skip 2, 1, skip 2, and 1. So there's my 4 pages. All right. And then I'm actually going to come back and do one more, and that's in the wrong place. Okay, so not there. We're going to come in and we're going to do one more. So hinge, gusset, hinge, gusset. So there should not be one right there. It's okay. It's just more tape than I meant to use, and that's fine. Because when we go to put this in the book, we're going to actually use both the score tape and glue. So I'm going to start over on this end. I'm going to pull that backing off. I'm going to fold that over and burnish it down. I'm going to go to the next one. So we're going to skip our gusset, go to our next page, fold, and then I'm going to fold this one back on itself. Okay. Hinges. Skip the gusset. And again, we're going to skip the gusset. We're going to fold this in on itself and then back. And then we're going to do our last one, which has one extra piece of tape, but that's okay. Fold that one over. And then back on itself. So there are our hinges. I'm just going to work these a little bit. Make sure that they're going to turn the way we want them to turn. Okay. So there's our hinges. So now we're going to look at this. We're going to say, okay, so our finished hinge is about 2 inches. So we're going to do actually a 3-inch spine on this book. So when you cut your base piece out of chipboard, I've got to find my piece that I had here. Now I can't find it, of course. Oh, there it is. When you cut your base out of chipboard, you're going to have a scrap on this side. all I'm gonna do, change my blade so I have a board because it just seems to work a little bit better. So we're gonna cut this from the extra on the edge of our chipboard. Just like so. And then we're going to cut this to, so 3 inches by 8 1/4. Take the chipboard blade out of there. Okay. So that's going to go on there, like so. Now then let's grab our caps. So what we're going to do first, I'm going to set my 2 interior pieces to the side. We're going to take, and what you want to do, okay, so keeping in mind when you're looking at the book, here's your front, make sure your front is on your left side for right now. Your back is on the right, okay? We're going to glue the cover pieces down on the chipboard. Glue to work because we need a little more than what that fine tip is going to give us. All right. So I'm going to glue this to the, or not. That's right, I was having issues with this the other day. It wouldn't open, it wouldn't do anything. Okay, this is not working for me today. There we go. Okay. Oh, for crying out loud. There we go. Okay. Not the best way to do this, obviously, but I got out my little dried out piece that was stuck in there. So, okay, now we're going to work. Look at that. All right, so we're just going to make a royal mess here when we put this down, of course, because, and you want quite a bit of glue on there so that you have time to kind of slide this around, make sure it's going to line up where you want it to line up. And so on and so forth. Alright, let me clean up my edges on this just a little bit because that was a complete disaster, but that's okay. Okay, clean up our bottle. This is what happens when my husband borrows my glue. I forgot I did have, I pulled my paper off the mat like a little fast and I ended up with some icky spots, but that's okay. So we can very easily just run a knife along there and fix those. No big deal. Okay, anyway. just get this on here and slide it around until it is lined up where we want it to be, because that's the one thing to keep in mind when you're working with chipboard and doing shaped albums like this. Because, for example, on the Cricut, in order for this to cut, and it doesn't matter if I'm using, it's slightly less noticeable using the knife blade on the Maker than it is using the deep cut blade on the Air 2. But what happens is the blade has to make multiple passes. So you'll end up with a slight size difference between your chipboard and your cardstock. And it's usually minor enough. It's not anything that you need to worry about. But there will be, like, your cardstock that you're cutting the exact same shape to cover that will be slightly bigger, and that's fine. Okay, so now we're going to take our spine piece. We're going to cover this. We're going to completely wrap this. Well, not completely. We're going to wrap this. Okay, so it's 8 1/4. So we need 10 1/4. And it's 3 inches wide, so we're going to go 5 inches wide. Okay. And then we're basically going to wrap this one piece like you would if you were doing just a normal album. Okay. And this is where two different methods of doing this are going to come in. So if you want to do the entire thing completely just with the shaped chipboard only as your base, this is where the method you're going to follow. If you did not want to do this, and this is what is probably going to need, you're going to end up doing if you are hand cutting this, your little house out, you can do a normal album base and just mount this on the front. If you're doing that, you could cut this one time out of lightweight chipboard for your shadow layer. You could cut your little house and assemble it, and then just attach all of that to the front of a normal album. So if I were going to do that, this album is, let's see here, it's 8.5 by, okay, so this one is 6.5 by 8, and that would be 8 1/4. Okay, so this one is 6.5 by 8 1/4 with a 2 3/4 inch spine. You would still need the 3-inch spine on this. But you could absolutely build a normal album base and then mount your little chipboard house on the front of it, and that would be absolutely adorable. In fact, this honestly is probably the easiest method to do a shaped album, is to make the shape and attach it to a normal album base. Typically that's not how I do mine. However, if you're new to doing a shaped album, this would be the way to go. So I'm not going to go over how to build that. You can look at any one of my other tutorials to see how to build an album base. You would just do this 6.5 by 8 1/4 with a 3-inch spine, and then wrap it and move on accordingly. I'm going to show you how I do this when I do the entire thing shaped. So I've got my what you call it here, my spine, and I am going to trim this down to the size I need. here. Score tape sheets are amazing. And really, I don't know, I actually haven't tried that now that I'm thinking about it. You could probably back your cardstock with a score tape sheet, although they're only 8.5 by 11, and this ended up being slightly bigger than that, so that might not work. But what I was going to say was back it and then cut it after you've already backed it. I don't know. I haven't tried that with, I haven't tried that. I'm going to have to try that, see how that works. Okay, so we're going to miter our corners just like we normally would. And then we are going to wrap this just like any other book we would do. Only we're just wrapping the spine piece of this only. Okay? So I'm going to use some 1/2 inch score tape in here. I've got good color for my pen now too. Okay, I'm gonna run just a little bit of glue, just like always. Those corners in. Okay. Okay. All right, so now what we need to do, we're going to take just a little scrap here of black cardstock, and we are going to cut, whoops, what we want to do is just kind of glue this. I'm actually going to cut this in half because it's like, okay, what we're going to do, take a couple little scraps of black cardstock. We're going to put some glue on them. Actually didn't need to put glue everywhere like I just did, but that's okay. And we're going to put that down just on those two pieces that stick out, because our spine is going to kind of come up in the middle here. So these pieces are going to fold back against, or this little edge here is going to fold back against the spine. So, since I figured out where I just lost my knife over here. literally just had it in my hand. There it is. Okay. Okay, you're going to come on the back side and you're just going to trim this with your knife. Okay. Now you see why I said the method with putting this just on the front of a normal book, definitely the easier way to go. But that's okay, because I know you guys can figure out how to do this. Okay. All right. So there's one side with it trimmed. This is just not liking me tonight. You actually could, if you're careful, do this with scissors too. Because you're just using the edge of that chipboard as a guide. Alright, until you get to this little inside corner, in which case you do need the knife. Okay, so you've got both of those. I'm going to use my ruler at the bottom here just to keep the bottom of the album straight. I'm going to put my spine in the center. Lay it on there and push those up against the sides. Okay, so we've covered our edges here. Ignore the mess that is on this and on this side. I actually got this completely screwed up. So what we're going to do is we've got a piece here that's 8 1/4 by 12. Okay, we're going to glue our spine piece down on the middle of this paper. Okay, so I'm just going to eyeball it here a bit. Okay, I'm going to glue that down. You're going to let this sit for a few minutes to make sure it's completely dry. Once it is completely dry, got just glue going everywhere here. You're going to fold up. Okay, like so. And get that crease, and then you're going to fold back like so. Okay, this is why you want it to wait for this to completely dry so that it doesn't try to pull apart on this seam. Okay, like it's trying to do to me right now because I'm impatient. Okay. Once that is dry, okay, you've made your creases on both sides. Then we're going to line it up here And what you're going to do, I'm going to show you from this other side so you kind of see what's the thinking behind this is. So, because of the way we're adhering those flaps to the front and back covers, we don't need the gap. So if you watched, there was a tutorial Tammy did here a couple of weeks ago that was basically another way to wrap an album, like if you have arthritis in your hands or whatever, where you weren't having to wrap such long stretches. That basically, because you weren't wrapping paper around the outside, you didn't have to worry about anything cracking or whatever, that you could actually put your cover pieces right up against your spine on the outside of the book. That's essentially what we're trying to do right here. Okay? So what should happen, because we've scored this, once we adhere this, when we go to adhere this actually, we're going to do it like this. Okay? So we're going to fold those hinges, that flap in. We're going to glue it down so that we're lining up the base, the edge, I can't even talk, the edge of our spine with the bottom, and then where that crease is with the side of our house. Okay? Like that. So when we go to adhere this down, that's how we're going to do it. And then you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. And that's going to give you your book. The reason you're covering this is because when this is all assembled, that little piece of the side of the house is going to stick out the back side of your book. But because of the way we're doing the hinge, you'll be able to open the book flat without that hinge bending or getting in the way. Okay? So I think the way I want to do this is going to be with a square tape sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this to, let's do it from this side, 8 1/4. And then I'm going to measure what I've got on each one of these sides. As soon as I figure out where my ruler has disappeared to yet again. Okay, well, we're going to do it with the big one since I'm not sure where the little one disappeared to. Okay, so this is going to be 4 1/2 on that side. 4 1/2 on that side. Man, I eyeballed that just perfectly, didn't I? First thing that's gone right so far tonight. Okay, so 4 1/2. 4 1/2. All right, so going to adhere this on this side. Like so. Do it again on the other side. And you don't want to go clear up to that score line. You want to get close to it, but not all the way across, because you don't want any of this adhesive sticking out. Okay, so I'm going to fold this in. I'm going to start with so before I get this even more screwed up. All right, front, back. Okay, we're going to start with our back. Actually, no, we're going to start with the front. Actually, that's not going to matter if it's hanging over a little bit, because it's going to get covered again anyway. So Fold that over. We're going to line this all up. I should have left the backing on there for a minute or so more. So we're going to put it back on there. All right, so line it up the bottom. Line it up at the side. And I still got my adhesive too far over because of course I did. That's okay, we'll make it work. Okay, we're lined up on the bottom and the side. Reach in here, get that started. Okay. All right. So there is our front. We're going to do the same thing with our back. Put this down, line it up. I'm going to try again because of course it moved. Okay. Seriously. Okay. All right. There you have your spine. So there you go. That's how your book's going to sit. It's lined up so that when it's all constructed and sitting, it's going to sit. It's going to line up right. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put these down on the inside. It is going to overlap into our spine area just a little bit. If you wanted to trim that off, you absolutely could. I'm not sure if I'm going to or not. Let me see, where is my spine? So the spine's actually going to lay just ever so slightly on top of those, so it should be okay. So now we're going to glue this down. All right. Okay. Good and burnish down. Do our other side. Okay. And the other side. Okay. So now we're gonna attach our hinge. So I do have score tape all over the back of this. I'm going to add glue as well. Of course, it's going to act up on me again. No, for the love of... All right. So we're just going to center this up on our side to side on our spine here. And then burnish it down. All right, so now we can work on the front and back inside cover. So I came up with what I hope is kind of a different little pocket here for the front. So it's going to have a flap that closes, but it's also going to have a gap behind the pocket, okay? So I've got a piece here that is 6 3/4 by 6 inches. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 7/8 of an inch on each side, and then again on the bottom. Okay. And then we're going to actually, I might have done that more on the bottom. I think I did because I wanted it to wrap up a little bit higher in the back. And again, the small ruler has disappeared completely. Oh, there it is. Oh. Okay. So, yeah, it's just a little bit. Okay, so 6 3/4 on the sides. On the 6 3/4 side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch and at 7/8, and then 1/2 inch and 7/8. So score, score, turn it, score, score. On the 6 inch side, you're going to score it at 5/8 and at 1 inch. Okay. So what is going to happen? Let me just kind of fold this the way we want this to go. So you're going to have this kind of gap in here, okay? And you're going to have the same gap on the sides, okay? So, okay. What we want to do is cut on that inside line, the farthest one in, just up to that first score line. Okay. And then this is going to come in like this. The bottom is going to come up like so. Oh no, I guess we go to the second score line. I'm sorry. Second score line. And then in on the sides. That's what it was. Whoops. Okay, so you're going to cut out that entire little square in the bottom. Okay, your second piece is going to be 5.5 by 8 3/4. You're going to score on the 5.5 inch side at 1/4 inch on each side. Okay? You're going to turn it, and on the 8 3/4 side, just want to make sure I've got this right. You're going to score it 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 5 3/4 inch, and 6 inch. Okay? You're going to come up here on this top section. This is going to be the flap. You're going to cut to the score line and then cut down the score line. Okay? You're going to do that on both sides. Okay, on the bottom, you're going to cut into the score, into the first score line, and then up from the bottom. So you're cutting out that same little notch on the bottom. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to fold at the 3/4 inch mark and the 1/2 inch. Okay, so you're making your little edge. And then you're going to do the same thing on the other side, or on the sides. Okay, you're going to fold those in. Maybe. If it wants to fold. Okay. What we're going to do is come in here. We're going to pull this backing off of one side here. Snug this up to the bottom. Okay, so you're pushing this all the way down into the bottom. You're going to wrap that side up. Make sure this is pushed all the way down on the side. Wrap that side up. Okay? And you're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. All the way to the bottom. Up on the side. So what happens is, on the back side of this, you're left with an 1/8 inch gap. Okay? So, and that's what I kind of thought. So we're going to kind of get in here. We're going to pull that out. Just because we're sealing up the bottom of that pocket separate from what's behind it. I'm just going in with the bone folder and burnishing that down. Okay. So for this piece, I'm just going to lift my score tape up. And again, on that side, I'm going to fold this piece all the way up. And then press it down. You probably want to stick something like the bone folder underneath there so you have something to push against so you're not collapsing your box. And we are just going to center this up. Extra score lines here because I was having a bit of a math crisis when I was doing this. There we go. Okay. We're just going to put this near the bottom. Doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom. And we're going to run our bone folder down in here. If you've got a thinner one, that would be better. I'm not sure where my other one is. I know I've got another one somewhere here. I just don't know what's happened to it off the top of my head. Okay. So what has happened is you've got this nice big pocket back behind there, and then you're going to have a small one on the front here that we're going to put a magnet on. because of course we are. And well, at least in theory we are, because they've disappeared too. Okay. So on this one, really, we can probably put a small one because it's not going to be that much in between the two pieces. So okay. So there's that. And then we're just going to mat this like we would anything else. Okay. That is just going to drive me nuts. Not that this one's much better right now. Okay. Hopefully that's better. There we go. Much better. Okay. So there's that. I'll do this one. And then if you wanted to cut some little thin strips and mat around the sides of this, you absolutely could. I don't think I'm going to. Okay. Of course, I just forgot two of those on the side, bottom of this, but that's okay. Okay. So this one, I think we're going to do that way. Okay. So there's that. For the back inside cover, we have a waterfall. Okay, so the waterfall, I have matted this in such a way that we're going to have the picture that, you know, kind of comes all the way down the front of the waterfall. They are 4 1/4, I believe. It's written on one of these somewhere here. It's just a matter of which one. Or it's not. I don't know. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what I'm even doing at this point. Okay, so it's 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. Scored at 1/2 inch. We actually have some little flaps that are going to kind of come over the waterfall to kind of hold it closed and kind of, I don't know, finish it off a little bit. So we're going to put the bottom one down first. So this one is, apparently has no measurement on it. Okay, so this one is going to be 4 1/2 by 6, and I've scored it at 3/4 inch, and then again at 1 inch. Okay, so that's going to give us that little 1/4 inch bit of breathing room we need, because it's going to be wrapping around this waterfall. So again, I'm just going to center this up at the bottom of the back page. And then I am going to lay this down about where it needs to go. And we're going to start, which I don't normally do, at, oh no, that's what I did. Okay. So that's supposed to be going down there like so. And then this one is going to come down on top of it. Okay, we're not going to do it that way. All right, so we are matting this one a little bit differently. So I'm going to mat this as I put them down to make sure that they stay in the right order. Cannot win with the glue tonight. Okay. So we're just, the mats on these are going to be 4 1/8 by 1/2 inch. So, and I just put that on the wrong freaking side. Okay, it's fine because we've got 2 of them. So we're just going to mat the other side because it'll be fine. Okay. So, I'm going to start here at the bottom. We're just going to center this on the bottom piece of this flap. We're going to put it down. Okay, so we're going to get our next one. We're going to pull our tape off. We're going to center him up here. Push it down, and then we'll fold it over. And then we will put down our little mat. Okay, move on to the next one. We're going to do the exact same thing again. So we're building this waterfall completely opposite of how I normally do mine. But we're doing it so that we get this matting on the bottom perfect. Oh, for the love. This is just going to make me absolutely insane. I cannot win with either one of these. Okay. Okay, so before we put the last one down, okay, we want to put down our top flap. So this one is going to be 4.5 by 5.5. And we're scoring it at 3/4 of an inch and at 1 inch. And I am just going to double check that, yep, it folds up the way I want it to. So we're gonna get tape backing off. Fold this up. Sure that that's lined up exactly. Put that one down, and then we'll put down our last piece of our waterfall. Could I just get that off? Is my entire waterfall shifted that direction? What have I done? What have I done here? No, because that's... Okay, it's fine. I don't know what I've done here, and I'm not... It's fine. Oh yeah, let's do that now. Okay. And there we go. All right, so again, we're going to do another magnet on here. But because it's not going through, you know, more than a couple of layers, we're going to go ahead and just use a small one. Alright, so now we can go ahead and mount these. This one we're double matting because I've got a 4x4 cut apart that I wanted to use on the top of this. So and there we go. Okay, so now we can put our pages in. I'm going to mess with this really quickly. Okay, so now we can put our pages in. You don't have to put them in the order that I'm going to put them in. You can put them in here in whatever order you want to. But what I'm going to do is get some glue on one side of that hinge. Make sure I slide that bottom tab over. Fold this, and then I'm going to just flip back ever so slightly, not that much. So I've got about 1/8 of an inch at the end. Oh, yeah, that'll work. Okay. I'm going to hold that for just a second. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pull our tape off of this bottom flap. We're going to run the rest of our glue. Not that much, because that would just be dumb. Okay, push that down, fold it over, and then it's all down. Okay, there's our first page in the book. Okay, do the same thing again. Okay, slide that on there, fold it over, and pull it back ever so slightly, so we've got about 1/8 of an inch between the edge of our page and the actual hinge point. Hold on to it for just a second so it starts to set or not. Okay, we're going to come back. We're going to get our backing off there. And again, do the same thing again, drop it down, and then just press for a minute. Okay, that's all good. Again, just like before, we're going to run our line of glue, sandwich it, and then work it up about 1/8 of an inch. And press. And then again, backing on our glue, drop that down, and then hold. Okay. And because these are very bulky pages, it is not going to lay flat. And that's fine. There it is. Of course, this one's on the opposite side. All right, so we're going to run our glue one more time. Make sure. Okay, and we're going to do this from the opposite side this time. Alright, and there you have it. Now all that's left to do is decorate. And we're done. Okay, so we've got pages in the book. We can put our house on the front. All we're going to do, since it's already put together, there we go. Line that up, push it down, and there is our book. Okay, I just need to come back through and do some embellishing. The page inserts, I don't know. I think I'll go ahead and do them. I think I'm just going to do them as large tags. I don't think I'm going to do any matting on them. But yeah, so here's our book. So we got that first page folds out that way, then back up. This one, we've got a pocket here. Opens up into a nice layout here. This one opens up this way. We've got our fun little triangle pockets there. On this side, we fold this way or this way. We've got a nice little folio in here. Nice pocket on the front here. This one folds out this way and this way. Really, it could go either way. And then we've got a nice stacked pocket in here. Good places for photos. Large side loading pocket. Shorter pocket there. And that is not glued down. I want to fix that. Okay. And here we open up this way. We've got another little folio in there. And on the back side, we've got another little flap with some little flaps that go every which way. And then our waterfall in the very back. So there we go. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you make your own version of this. I would love to see it. Everything in this book came from Country Craft Creations. I will link, or I will give you a list below of the names of the solid cardstock, My Colors cardstock that I used in this, with the pattern paper that's in here. I think our inserts, if we decide to go ahead and do inserts in here, I'm not sure how big they're going to be. I will add that in the description. But I'm going to go through and decorate this and mat the spine, and other than that, we are done. Thanks for watching.